Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to Corpus Christi DSA's People's Budget Press Conference. My name is Max Peacock, the proudly and newly elected Political Education Co-Chair for Corpus Christi DSA's and today's designated MC. But yeah, the City of Corpus Christi's budget process over the past several years has failed to engage working class Corpus Christians. From the lackluster survey to the poorly attended community input sessions, both of which are not adequately advertised, promoted, or readily available for working class people, the city's process leaves a lot to be desired. The city's survey specifically had only 1,500 responses out of over 300,000 residents. They say this is a statistically valid data set on their website, but we contend that this is evidence of how disproportionately low the city's standards are for public participation, even with their immense resources. It is possible for them to do so in an accessible, equitable way, but they do not have the political will to do so. Because of the repeated failures of the city, we, as the Corpus Christi chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America, or DSA, have initiated our own community engagement processes and are actively developing our own budget priorities and demands through data based on countless years of organizing within our community and talking to our neighbors and fellow community members. In advance of today's City Council meeting, and with the intention to get a few steps ahead of the City Manager's budget process, we have cohered some of our values and priorities so that the City has no excuse for ignoring or failing to understand the demands of working class Corpus Christians. A vital component of people's budget organizing has been uncapping our political imaginations on what we've been told is possible and how it can be done. This means establishing processes of democracy where all working class people have a collective right to shape our city in a way that improves our material realities, not billionaire or corporate interests. The City of Corpus Christi's current budget-making process is purposely designed in a way that deprioritizes and neglects human need. City staff and City Council members often co-opt our language to give the perception that they are working for the people, although we know that this is not true. Demanding a people's budget means demanding democracy, transparency, and co-governance. I will now be passing the mic to other DSA members who have been instrumental in studying the budget and engaging our community to elaborate on why we are fighting for a people's budget. First on the mic is Amanda, the newly elected co-chair of Corpus Christi DSA's People's Budget Working Group, and who is most notably a mom of two who frequents local parks and libraries. Everyone give it up for Amanda.
Woo!
Hi, hello, my name is Amanda Freeland. I've lived in the Corpus area all my life and share my love and appreciation for the city press. That love is precisely why I'm here today along with my comrades to demand a city budget that works for us, the residents of this wonderful city. Like Max said, I'm a mom of two, and we go to the local parks and libraries on almost a weekly basis. It's clear to see that our public facilities need work. This city needs to prioritize spending in ways that benefit the community as a whole. Currently, our city spends over 50% of its budget on public safety, while Parks and Rec Department barely accounts for 7%. Numerous studies show that cities that invest heavily in their green spaces and public libraries create stronger community relationships and social ties, among other things. One simple step the city can take towards improving our green spaces is by adding trees as a line item in the Parks and Rec budget. Adding more trees to our parks and rec and other areas, of the city will not only improve our urban canopy, but will also provide shade, help with stormwater management, improve air quality, and so much more. I have personally spoken with city staff, and they will state they are not planting new trees due to our current drought restrictions. I challenge that decision and argue that the fact that we are in stage 3 drought restrictions shouldn't matter, as the city currently waters all trees with reclaimed water. I would also like to touch on the fact that our libraries are so grossly underfunded. Our libraries receive a measly 1.8% of our current city budget. Despite the fact that these libraries get so little money, my kids and I have a great time whenever whenever we go visit. The library staff puts on great events for the community, and I can only
Corpus Christi. We should also be serving our people by shifting resources away from punitive measures like sweeps and toward proven human-centered approaches that truly center care. Our houseless siblings deserve permanent supportive housing, affordable housing combined with on-site mental and addiction support, and case management. Many other municipalities also utilize mobile crisis and outreach teams, non-law enforcement responders to dispatch mental health professionals to de-escalate situations and directly connect unhoused residents with care and not with violence. Lastly, things like barrier reduction flex funds have also been utilized in other municipalities and are special pools of money to cover immediate barriers. Simple things like ID, social security cards, paying for a security deposit, or just securing transport. These aren't unreasonable demands. Centering human need is not only the right and just thing to do, but it is crime prevention in and of itself. James 2:14 through 17 tells us, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." We've said time and time again that budgets are moral documents, and ours shows how seriously we need to work on our morality. It is beyond time for a people's platform and budget, Corpus Christi.
Everyone give it up for Autumn. Next up, we have Mark, a concerned resident, a professional tax accountant with a master's, a DSA member who has studied the budget vigorously and helped inform our demands, specifically through research on industrial district agreements and how our city has gone into debt for corporate interest. Everyone give it up for Mark.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Minster. As Maggie said, I'm a tax accountant. I have a master's in accountancy. I'm an IRS enrolled agent, and I've done tax work for more than 5 years, which has really led me to look into the city issues and the budget. I've seen this budget process over the last 3 years and how there's no avenue for resident inputs that seriously get implemented into the adopted budget. The city does not aim to improve the resident engagement or involvement. The budget shows clearly and openly how our government allows money and funds to be utilized in the favor of large polluters and corporate interests, and it reeks of financial irresponsibility and inequity for working class residents. Sylvia Campos originally brought the IDAs to my attention, and these industrial district agreements are tax handouts, tax breaks given to these corporate polluters. They get locked in for 15-year tax credits, while residents face property tax increases every single year. The top water users contribute $0 in taxes, Gulf Coast Growth Ventures, while they use the water and create the water crisis that residents face the increases on their water rates that make up this budget. The city collects around $30 million in revenue from these tax abatements, and they want to spend the interest alone on just one water project is more than these companies pay in taxes. Not only are these IDAs inequitable, the water rates are unfair, and these same companies then sue the city when we raise their water rates. It's not just the tax abatements, it's the water rates, it's their water usage that residents face the impacts for. And if you look at the budget, you just see straight away how the revenue that the city collects from residents is more than what the large volume users pay. And our government takes advantage, the city takes advantage of residents not being involved with the budget being too many pages for them to understand. Because corporate capitalist corporations endlessly seek profits that workers create the value for, and then workers face the impacts, environmentally, health impacts, and when we see the rates raised. And it's not going to change unless working class residents come together, so we're trying to get people involved with the people's budget. We need these IDAs to be audited. That's the demand we're asking for the city. It's already been talked about. This is where hundreds of millions of revenue could go towards libraries and other services. So we're asking for the city to look at these avenues to spend for residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Everyone give it up for Mark. Next we have the incredible Dr. Isabel Anaiza, a DSA member and also co-founder of For the Greater Good. But yeah, she has served on our city's crime prevention board and has advocated for countless ways our city can invest in true crime prevention. So yeah, everyone give it up for Isabel.
Maggie. Okay, so in 1997, Corpus Christi voters voted to establish the Crime Control and Prevention District, and they passed a 1/8 sales tax that could be used to fund crime control and prevention programs. Now, each city council member gets to appoint a member to the board, and the board is supposed to decide how the money from the sales tax can be spent. I was appointed to this board by Sylvia Campos and have served on the board for the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, all of the money, which has been millions of dollars every year, has been turned over to the police department. This district has carryover funds, and the district draws additional money from those funds to give to the police. Now in the 2025-2026 budget, more than 1 out of every $4 of the general fund went to the police department. 25% of our general fund went to funding the police. When this budget cycle closes, the police will take an estimated additional $11.9 million, but from the Crime Control and Prevention District, with $0 allotted to any type of prevention programs. For the new budget, the police department will again take all $11.2 million from the Crime Control and Prevention District, and again, not a single dollar of that $11.2 million additional dollars will go towards prevention. Now, there is a saying that goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Investing in prevention programs could have a profound impact and ripple effect on the quality of life in our community. The mandate for the Crime Control and Prevention District actually says that the board can be creative in allocating the money that we collect. It does not need to go to the police, but the police basically demand it. And this board gives it to them. There are so many programs that have been shown to reduce or prevent crime rates, and some of those programs can have dual purposes. For example, we have recreational centers in the city that are closed right now during summertime. We have latchkey programs that, while somewhat affordable, still remain unaffordable for many families. Remember, we had 30,000 people on a waiting list for affordable housing. We have libraries with limited operation hours. We could dedicate the crime control and prevention dollars to expanding services in these areas and others that could actually enhance adults and children's quality of life and function as crime prevention. But we don't do that. Instead, the police department, which again takes 25% of our general funds, is taking the money from the Crime Control and Prevention District to subsidize its operations. This needs to stop. The community deserves to fund crime prevention services, and again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Thank you, Dr. Eliza. Everyone give it up for Dr. Isabel Eliza. Surely where would our community be without her? Finally, we have Armand, our newly elected Corpus Christi DSA co-chair, who is active in many grassroots and community movement spaces and is passionate about building an eco-socialist future. Most notably, he's a born and raised Corpus Christian who just wants a better future for his family and fellow community members. Everyone give it up for Armand.
Yay! Thanks, Max, and comrades. Howdy, folks. My name is Armand Alex. As Max said, I am a lifelong resident here of Corpus Christi, and I'm honored to serve alongside Claudia Bonas as our Corpus Christi chapter Democratic Socialist America co-chairs. When we talk about this budget, it is very easy to get lost in the line items and the percentages. The city will tell us this budget is about numbers, it's about spreadsheets, revenue projections, but our analysis shows that our city budgets have never just been about numbers. They're about power. They're about who this city believes is worth investing in, and just as importantly, whose needs can be set to the side. We've heard today from comrades about the lack of funding in our parks, in our libraries, in our neighborhoods, community safety. We've heard from the people raising children here, trying to age here, working here, and every one of their stories runs into the same response from the city. There's not enough money. The city and city council members say there's not enough money, there's not enough staff, not enough resources, not enough capacity. But here's what we want our neighbors to ask them. If there's never enough for working people, why is there always enough for heavy industrial powers and polluters? Why is there always enough to expand industry infrastructure that serves petrochemical development? Why is there always enough political urgency when corporations say that they need more water? Why are we still pursuing projects like the Inner Harbor Desalination Plant, a project justified largely by industrial demand, while residents are asked to conserve more, to pay more, but to expect less? This isn't a contradiction. That's the city of Corpus Christi's model. Their budget is not failing. It is doing exactly what it is designed to do. It's succeeding at protecting the priorities of corporate interests as it is written to protect. And that's exactly why we're here. We know that every budget is a map of political and moral priorities. It tells you what a city values without ever saying the words. The truth is, our city has found many ways to support industrial expansion, but the same urgency disappears when they're talking about libraries, about neighborhoods, youth programs, sidewalks, public transit, tree canopy, affordable housing, working class neighborhoods. The city has said those things are just too expensive, just too ambitious, maybe next year. But the consequences of not tending to these issues is actually expensive. Pollution is expensive. Flooding is expensive. Miasma, expensive. Broken pipes are expensive. Working people pay for industrial profits with our taxes in the city budget. We pay for it with our health, with our water bills, with our neighborhoods that keep being neglected. Fred Hampton reminded us that politics is about power. And even further, budgets are where that power is visible. Every line item answers a question. Who matters? Who benefits? Who sacrifices? And we believe the people's budget answers those questions differently. It's something we practice every time we decide what our shared resources are for. So today isn't simply about criticizing a budget, it's about rejecting the idea that this is the best that we can do. The authors of this city is who we are as residents, not city council, not corporate interests. Let's move forward to protect and support a people's budget. Thank y'all.
Alrighty. So yeah, thank you everybody. Now that we have heard from some of our community members who have helped to shape our People's Budget campaign, I now want to read some of our specific demands. We have 3 tenets. First, around democracy and transparency. Some of these demands include longer and more frequent community input budget sessions, the format of input sessions to be town hall style with department heads. Council attendance is mandatory, but participation is limited to listening. Free childcare and food at input sessions, and open public comment for city council budget workshops. Our next tenet is around quality of life programs. Examples of these demands include de-escalation training for city staff and behavioral crisis response programs for community members, counseling services, restorative accountability processes and recovery programs, investment in evidence-based youth prevention programs such as functional family therapy, and then also to dissolve the industrial district agreements, annex heavy polluting industries, and reallocate extra tax revenue into community-owned funds for quality of life programs. And finally, our last tenet is people-centered infrastructure. Examples of these demands include no spending on new water infrastructure that isn't specifically reserved for residential or critical care infrastructure, such as hospitals, clinics, schools, nursing homes. Investment in libraries, senior centers, parks and recreation centers as vital public third spaces. We want temporary to long-term subsidized housing and low barrier shelters for folks experiencing houselessness, emergency shelters for victims of harm, subsidized, publicly owned and operated grocery stores, community gardens with city staff to help maintain, and also more robust public transit systems such as grant money towards the RTA for shaded bus stops and just more equitable public transit. So we invite community members, but also especially candidates, council members, to sign on to our demands, whether as a whole or specific tenets or demands, but to also help us continue to shape it. You can talk to any of us DSA members on how to get plugged in, whether that's by completing our community survey, having one-on-ones or meetings with us, especially if you are on the dais or running for office, attending DSA events, or even joining our People's Budget Working Group. Our speakers will stick around for questions, and then we will be attending and making public comment at City Council. So we are asking everyone to join us. But yeah, I just have one quick question for everyone. What does democracy look like?
This is what democracy looks like.